I was trying to like give off this like totally Spies look, but I kind of forgot my hair and my glasses are giving 1939. So it's not working. Okay, so this needed to be done. If you go back in time to the mid 2000s, you will not find a girl more obsessed with Totally Spies than me. I made a compounder out of a plastic candy box and hot glue. I had my letter published in the Polish edition of the Totally Spies magazine. I wore and collected Totally Spies merch. Heck, I even founded my very own spying agency with a whole ass website that you could log into. When I tell you I was obsessed, it's not an exaggeration, okay? So it brings me great joy and pleasure to see how well it has aged. Maybe not so much the animation, because even though 2D rocked back then, it just lacked the budget to avoid looking lame sometimes. But I mean the looks. Totally Spies continue to serve 21 years after they first aired. So why is that? Glad you asked. You did not. First off, Totally Spies aired from 2001 to 2014, but the fashion was kind of conserved in the later seasons. The overall style of the main three characters and also the side characters seems to be giving early to mid 2000s, but like all of the good stuff. So it's not necessarily looking like Hilary Duff or Disney Channel, but it's those very simple, usually tight-fitting, colorful fits. There isn't many patterns or like prints involved, and I'm assuming that's because they're difficult to animate. But it is also thanks to that I think the fits stayed so fresh. Prints just seem to age pretty fast. But let's also talk about the Totally Spies color palette. It's pretty cohesive with the rest of the Totally Spies universe, which is very cartoonish, vibrant colors. But if you pay attention, it's almost never just primary colors. They will usually be wearing some more complex colors, like lime green with pink, or purple with Duckegg blue, or raspberry red with orange. So simple, clean colors without color blocking or like mixing are reserved for their spy outfits. A motif that I think is pretty much the only pattern or print that appears in their outfits is all sorts of flowers, which of course is a tribute to the Totally Spies logo and visual identification. If I remember correctly, there is also some sort of like round blobs every now and then when it comes to prints, which I personally think is a result of the series aesthetic being inspired by the 60s and 70s. Speaking of which, Totally Spies mixed the sort of Y2K aesthetic with the 60s, 70s flower hippie movement aesthetic. And not only when it came to clothes, in fact, interior designs, fonts, music, even some editing techniques are inspired by the time. This is a 1940s radio. What? And that of course also manifests in their outfits. So there is like miniskirts with boots, there is jumpsuits, there is bell bottoms with halter neck tops, halter neck tops, and lots of other elements that can be traced back to 60s or 70s fashion. Hi, are you obsessed with Scotland? This video is sponsored by Established Titles, and basically, Established Titles offer you a fun novelty where you buy a souvenir plot of land on their private estate in Scotland. You also get a digital or printed certificate for that where you're titled a laird, a lord, or a lady. If you're looking for a fun gift for a Scotland-obsessed friend of yours, or if you and the love of your life wanted to celebrate the anniversary in a meaningful way, look no more. Or they have couple packs where you can get plots of land next to each other. But also, if you just need a last minute gift and you've completely run out of ideas, bam! Gotcha! No need to thank me. You're welcome. What is pretty cool about Established Titles is that they plant a tree with every order to support global reforestation efforts. Okay, basically, here is my certificate. I mean, each certificate has a plot number. You just put your plot number and email into the search bar on the website, and voila! And oh my god, my plot is kind of nearby Pentland Hills, which I'm so excited about. If you use the link in the description to purchase your title pack, your plot of land will be next to mine. So hurry up and use the code Carolina to get 10% off, and go to establishedtitles.com/Carolina and get your title package right now. let's focus on their personal styles for a second. So, starting off with Clover, who is the most fashionable character. She is the one that is most invested in fashion. Clover's style is kind of feminine and girly, but she's also not afraid of like bold fashion choices. So she's the one that is most often experimenting with fashion, which sometimes gets her in trouble. Sam is supposed to be the nerdy one, but to be honest, her fits don't really scream nerdy to me. Maybe that was also the point, to show that the smartest girl who likes studying can also look good and be into fashion. Sam does get a lot of like really classy looks throughout the series and sometimes looks more mature than other girls, probably to kind of accentuate that feature of her character. I have to say, I think Sam was animators' favorite because they often make her look kind of like sexy. Like she's the hottest one. Alex is supposed to be the cute and quirky one, and she's also the one that is most likely to wear something a little bit boyish. But I mean, get you a girl who can be both, because she also rocks some really cute girly looks. I have to say though, I think the fit she got compared to Clover and Sam sometimes look a little bit sloppy. And I'm not sure if that was because they wanted her to look the worst of all the girls, or if that was like part of her character. Which I am a little salty about, because Alex is my favorite, always. What I love about all this though is that none of the girls has a really specific range of clothing that they always wear. So Clover can be wearing something really tight-fitting and girly in one scene and some baggy pants in the next. Or Alex can be rocking a skater girl fit and a lingerie dress in the same episode. Or Sam can be wearing a loose shirt one second and then a tight-fitting top in the other. And the reason they probably do that is because all three are always so well coordinated with one another. They're often wearing similar things, and if they're not, they're wearing completely different styles that somehow work really well together. I mean, talk about friend group goals. Then we also get the premium stuff, the really good stuff, the ate and left no crumbs stuff, which is all the undercover fits that they wear when they're trying to blend in. Like, we get cowgirl fits, or we get scout girl fits, we have archaeologist fits, fits they wore to a rave. I also personally love the time travel outfit, with my favorite probably being the 80s one, because it's just so well done. Like, you can tell the animators remembered the 80s because they grew up in the 80s. Okay, so why does it still look kind of good? Well, my theory is that, first of all, we're currently going through a 2000s fashion revival, and that aligns really well with the fashion we see in the series. Like, the silhouettes, the styles, the color palette is literally what we see in fashion right now. But at the same time, this is not literally what was worn in the 2000s. Yes, a lot of the things bear some resemblance, but things like hair, shoes, the combination of different elements, the lack of layers, jewelry are something unique to the series. And then we also add that 60s, 70s inspiration to the mix, and we get something even more unique. I'm getting emotional. It's so beautiful. So the overall style is something that was created specifically for the series and is therefore timeless. This is something that happens a lot with media set in modern times when it's coming out, because the creators can't make the fashionable characters wear the newest fashions, because by the time the series or the show comes out, it's not newest fashion anymore. Not to mention that will age the series really fast. So instead they create styles that kind of fit the aesthetic of the current fashion, but at the same time they add a little bit of twist to it to make it more unique. And I mean, it's also good for the series because then you can easily recognize the marketing material as being connected to that show, because you recognize the show by the outfits. And it can also inspire some fashion trends, so then you'll be like, that fashion trend was inspired by that series, so that adds publicity for the series. Think like Gossip Girl in the late 2000s, or Euphoria nowadays. Are totally Spies the Euphoria of 2000s? You tell me. Anyway, Totally Spies are not only totally spies, they're also totally iconic. I think you'd agree with me on this one. And we should appreciate their legacy more. That's all I'm saying. Like, pay some respect to the elderly. I cannot believe this aired like 21 years ago. Anyway, peace out.